the invisible pattern that keeps you average. There's a pattern running your life right now. You don't see it, you don't hear it, but you feel the results of it every single day. It's the reason you start and stop, the reason you push and then fade, the reason you know what to do, but don't do it consistently. And the most dangerous part, it feels normal. That's what makes it invisible. Let me explain. Most people think they're stuck because of big problems, lack of money, lack of time, lack of opportunity. But average lives are not built by big problems. They're built by small, repeated patterns. Patterns so subtle, they go unquestioned. And what goes unquestioned becomes permanent. Here's the pattern. You feel inspired, you take action, you lose consistency, you reset again and again and again. At first, it feels like progress because you're starting. But starting is not the problem. Repeating the reset is. Let me interrupt your thinking. You don't have a motivation problem. You have a pattern problem. Motivation is what gets you started. Patterns are what keep you there. And if your pattern includes stopping, you will always return to the same place. Think about your last few attempts to improve something. Maybe it was discipline. Maybe it was fitness. Maybe it was focus. You had a moment where everything clicked. You said, this time is different. And for a few days, it was. But then something small happened. You missed one day, got distracted once, felt tired once, and instead of adjusting, you stopped. That's the pattern. Not failure, not inability, the pattern of stopping. Here's why that pattern is dangerous. Because every time you repeat it, you reinforce an identity. I'm someone who starts but doesn't finish. Not consciously, but subconsciously. And identity shapes behavior faster than intention ever will. Let's go deeper. The invisible pattern is built on three things: emotional decisions, inconsistent standards, and lack of awareness. You act when you feel good. You slow down when you don't. You raise your standards when motivated. You lower them when tired. And you rarely stop to analyze what's actually happening. So the cycle continues, unchallenged. Here's the harsh truth. You are not stuck. You are patterned. And patterns don't break with effort. They break with awareness and interruption. Right now, pause and think. What is one thing you keep starting and stopping? Be honest. That is not random. That is a loop. And until you break that loop, your results will stay the same. Let me give you a micro story. There's someone who decides to improve their life. They wake up early. They plan their day. They feel in control. For a few days, everything works. Then one morning, they feel tired. They skip it. And instead of adjusting, they abandon the entire routine. Now they feel like they fell off. So they wait for the next moment of motivation to restart. That's the invisible pattern. Not discipline, not growth. Reset cycles. Here's what high performers do differently. They don't avoid mistakes. They avoid resets. When they slip, they recover quickly. They don't let one bad moment become a bad day. They don't let a bad day become a bad week. They correct immediately. That's the difference. Speed of recovery. Let's escalate this. If you don't break this pattern, 5 years from now, your life will look familiar. Not worse, not dramatically better, just the same. Same habits, same struggles, same frustration. Because patterns compound, and repetition builds identity. Here's another layer. The invisible pattern is comfortable because it gives you emotional highs without long-term commitment. You get excited when you start. You feel productive. You imagine the outcome. That feels good. But when things get boring or hard, you stop and wait for the next emotional high. That's addiction to starting, not commitment to finishing. Let me say that again. Some people are addicted to starting because starting feels like progress, but finishing requires discipline, and discipline feels uncomfortable. Here's the reframe. Your goal is not to start more. Your goal is to continue longer. That's it. If you can extend your consistency, everything changes. So how do you break the pattern? First, you lower emotional dependency. You stop acting based on how you feel. You act based on what you decided. Feelings fluctuate. Decisions anchor behavior. Second, you stabilize your standards. Instead of going all in and burning out, you choose a level you can maintain. Not impressive, but repeatable, because repetition builds identity. Third, you eliminate the reset mindset. Missing once is not failure. Stopping completely is. So when you slip, you don't restart next week, you continue immediately. That one shift breaks the cycle. Here's something powerful. The gap between average and exceptional is not talent. It's consistency without reset. That's it. Let's make this practical. Right now, you don't need a new plan. You need a new rule. A simple one. I don't stop after one mistake. That rule alone can change your trajectory because it removes the pattern. Here's the deeper psychological truth. Your brain loves completion, but it also loves familiarity. If your pattern is inconsistency, your brain will pull you back into it. Not because it wants you to fail, but because it wants predictability. Breaking the pattern feels uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar. But unfamiliar is where growth lives. Let's bring this home. You don't need more information. You already know what to do. You need pattern awareness. You need interruption. You need consistency beyond emotion. Here's your activation. Today, identify one pattern that keeps repeating. Just one, not 5. One. And make a decision. I will not reset this time. No matter what happens, no matter how I feel, I continue. That's the rule. Because the moment you stop resetting, your life starts compounding. Momentum builds, confidence increases, identity shifts, and results follow. You are not far from where you want to be. You are just repeating what keeps you where you are. Break the pattern, and everything changes. Not instantly, but permanently. The invisible pattern that keeps you average is only invisible until you see it. Now you see it. The question is, will you repeat it or will you break it?